Sunshine State, where secrets hide. In Tampa Street, she seeks out lines. With a sharp eye, she'll reveal the truth. Justice calls and she pursues. From county jails to hallowed courts, she finds truth where they distort. Fearless heart and mind so keen, Sam unravels tangled seams. The truth is buried deep in files. Fairness is what they try to hide, but Sam prevails. She's got your back. With grit and grace, she never lacks. Uncover lies and play no games. From jails to halls where verdicts lay. Truth her compass, come what may. Footsteps echo in the night. She chases justice with the light. A warrior for justice for all. She won't stop when she hits a wall. Florida P.I. Sam is her name. Uncover lies and play no games. From jails to halls where verdicts lay. Truth her compass, come what may. Uncover lies, play no games. From jails to halls where verdicts lay. Truth her compass, come what may. From jails to halls where verdicts lay. Truth her compass, come what may.
Good evening. It's Saturday, September 20th, 2025, and I am P.I. Sam. I'm happy to welcome my friend and fellow content creator, host of Trial TV Live, the Squeegee of Justice, for this very special stream.
Hello. Thank you, Sam. Just right off the top, thank you so much for having me on to talk about Suni Bell and to hear your unique perspective. I know I am very excited to be talking to you. I know our chat is very excited that you're doing the stream. So once again, thank you for doing this stream, and thank you for having me on. And thank you, Superball says hello to Henry.
Right. Thank you for being here. So before we get started, I'd like to explain just a little bit about what I do for those of you who are new here. I'm a law school graduate and a licensed private investigator. I work in criminal defense. Specifically, I work as a contract vendor for the state of Florida or for the federal government on court-appointed cases. In Florida, there's a process where when you're indigent, you can actually end up with a private defense attorney. And that attorney can be paid for by the state. When that happens, those attorneys can file a motion requesting the services of a private investigator and other specialists to aid in the defense of those who are indigent. I have explained this process extensively in prior videos. If you followed the Sarah Boone trial, I worked on that. I used to work for Billy Lane. So if you've heard of the Justice Administration Commission before, that is who pays my bills. And as Squeegee indicated, tonight we're here to discuss the Suni Bell homicide trial. This is a homicide trial where a 4-year-old child lost her life in a shooting. If that is something that you are not comfortable with, then please take care of yourself. Come back and see me another time. Maybe go watch another stream. We have playlists of everything we've covered. I tried to bring you a different side from what you see presented at trial. And if you watched this trial, you might have seen me there because I was. So let me just give you a brief rundown of the facts, which are: in 2021, Willie Brown was driving his silver Infiniti with his sister Mary Harrison as the passenger. Her daughter Suni Bell was in the back seat. It was around 9 p.m. and they were looking for a particular location near West Hillsborough Avenue and 45th in Tampa, Florida. 3 cars opened fire on them. Willie jumped out of the car and ran. Mary took over driving. She crashed into a Tico pole at a high rate of speed. Approximately 40 rounds were fired from several different firearms, and Suni was sadly, tragically struck and killed. Although there were 3 cars involved in the shooting, no one from the second car was ever charged. Car number 1 was a dark gray Infiniti driven by Zavante Sampson and had Quandarius Hammond as the only passenger. Car number 2 was the silver Infiniti with 4 different individuals. Car number 3 was a dark gray Chrysler 300 driven by Jalen Bedward with Andrew Thompson as the front seat passenger and James Denson as the back seat passenger. 5 men, Sampson, Hammond, Bedward, Thompson, and Denson, were tried this past week on a 6-count indictment, which included capital M. Not all defendants were charged with all 6 counts, but after 14 hours of deliberation, the jury convicted all defendants on all counts with which they were charged. Capital M is a mandatory life sentence in the state of Florida. We have no parole. You serve day for day. As I said, I'm sort of reading my notes over here because if you have met me before, you know that I am like so ADD. I will be all over the place in about 2 seconds flat. So as I said, I'm a criminal defense investigator and I was a part of the defense team for Andrew Thompson. I'm doing this stream because I want you to see for yourselves, for those of you who have been with me from the beginning, which I found today when I started the channel was November 2nd of last year. You guys hear me talk about all the pieces of my job. I wanted you to see what the end result looks like and help further your understanding in the criminal justice system here in Florida. Andrew obviously has been found guilty, as have his co-defendants. I'm going to say this right now. I'm not going to allow any hate in this chat tonight. Not towards any defendant, any lawyer, any witness, or victims in this case. You may agree with the jury verdict. You may not agree with the jury verdict. We are not here to discuss whether or not the jury got it wrong or right. The jury deliberated for 14 hours. They did the job they were asked to do. What I am here to do is to answer questions about the trial, the evidence, and the process. I would like to say that not only did a child tragically lose her life, affecting her family forever, but these men who made terrible choices also have families and friends and who have also suffered horrible losses. They are grieving too. Mothers, brothers, sisters, cousins, friends are brokenhearted. They grieve for the loss of Suni Bell as well as for the loss of their family member who have now been convicted of doing the worst. So I ask that you will respect the fact that there is pain on both sides. We're not here to judge the people. That has been done by the jury. Tonight, we're here to discuss the process. So, and in that vein, I'm not normally this harsh about my chat, but my mods have been instructed to immediately delete anything that is hateful, derogatory towards anyone involved in this case. Okay? And so that being said, let's get started. And I am told, Squeegee, that there's a collage of me from court. So I guess we're going to take a look at that real quick.
Sounds good.
Let's remove that one. And there you can see me. And Great Gams said last week in chat, give us a wink. I gave you a peace sign.
I see it.
There was a camera. There was a camera on a tripod on remote control right next to me. Most of the time, I cut the lawyers out of this slide. There are 2 lawyers sitting at the table, or I should say out of the photos. Alexis made the slide. But this is me with my client, Andrew Thompson.
So first question I have is, how intrusive or not intrusive were the cameras to you and to the defendants?
I'm not sure how the defendants felt. I figured I would be caught. I figured we were in the biggest courtroom in the Hillsborough County Circuit courthouse. So we were in the big civil courtroom. And I figured that I could see the one camera when I walked in at the back, because, I told you guys that they were there. It took me probably more than a day to figure out that there was also a camera right next to me. But then you guys told me that they cut me out a lot, which I was fine with. But yeah, I guess I would say, I tried to keep my face mostly composed. But I was trying to be mindful of it to the extent that it could be.
There were times where the defendants looked straight into the camera, and it was, as I think Psychosaurus Rex said, it's like they're looking right into our souls. I mean, it was uncanny that that the camera picked them up right as they were looking at the camera, or because I think it was like a 3-camera shoot, right?
Yeah. Well, so that courtroom is so big, and I am. If I'm the judge sitting on the bench right now, my table was all the way almost back to the wall on the right hand side, and then Bedward, Zavante Sampson, and James Denson, their table was actually like perpendicular to the gallery, or parallel to the gallery. I'm not going to trust my own words. And then there was like the podium, and then the prosecution, and then all the way on the other side of the courtroom was the jury. So I'm assuming there was like you said, a 3rd camera somewhere. I don't know where that was because of the jury box being over there, but I imagine it was right in front of the state's table based on what I've seen.
Yeah, there was definitely one in the back catching the judge, looking towards the judge. Then there was one looking at the defendant. So I would assume, like what you were just saying, by the judge. And then there was a 3rd one. I'm pretty sure it was a 3-camera shoot. So kudos to the team that was there.
Yeah, and I was I've been in the courtroom on a number of occasions for hearings on high profile cases that I've been involved in, where I've seen, the regular guy that kind of roams the courthouse come in and set up and, do a quick shot or whatever. And once in a while I would catch the back of my head, but I have not been a part of a trial like this. So
it wasn't you guys weren't, you weren't upset, or you weren't, I guess that's not the right word. Impacted by it, or put off by it, stressed out by it, knowing that this was being televised to people?
No, I mean, I had the conversation with you and Aaron beforehand. I was like, I can't tell what's happening, and Aaron had been looking for it, and I don't know how the others felt. I mean, the other attorneys, to my knowledge, are used to it. The attorney for Andrew is an older attorney who I've been working for 10 years, and I don't think he understood for 1 second what was going to happen. And even though Brian Gonzalez, Zavante Sampson's attorney, is used to being on camera, I don't think he understood what the comments, that there was like an ongoing chat right? That people were commentating live. Because he had texted me late one night and was like, how do I see the comments? But I tried to explain it to him briefly, and Brian's not the best tech guy, so he's like, I just want to hear the comments. I'm like, that doesn't quite work that way. And then, excuse me, I'm so sorry. And then, of course, Scotty actually had you guys up on his phone, as did one of the bailiffs. And then another bailiff had a different feed up on his phone. I don't know if the defendants had expected it or not. Andrew did not express that he was upset by it.
It was a very interesting trial from that perspective, from us, not only having somebody in the courtroom, which we've been lucky enough to have before, but obviously somebody representing a defendant, which has never happened for us before. So that, first and foremost, was very unique and fun from our standpoint. And then people in the chat, where we had both sides of the family come in, giving us their perspective from in real time too, which was
wow. I was
yeah.
really, really surprised. I was really surprised to hear you say that, because I had not been, I promote you guys, I do, but I hadn't been like, I hadn't told anybody on, I have spent a lot of time with Andrew's mother and his sister in particular, but I had sort of all of his people talking to me during breaks and things, and some of them I had found you, and I was like, oh wow, those are my friends. So yeah, when you said that both sides were in your chat, I was really stunned by that.
It was an honor, to be quite honest, and then it was also a challenge, because there were times where they were going at each other, and we're like, just please be respectful. We respect everybody's opinion. Just let's just keep it respectful to each other, to Suni, to the defendants, to the representatives, the lawyers, the judge, and I think, by and large, people heard that, and they took that to heart, and people were voicing their opinions, but they were also like, hey, I've had dinner with Savante's mom. I know him. He's a good guy. Or, on the other perspective, Mary is heartbroken. She lost a little girl. We're like, we understand that. We're not trying to disparage anybody. We're just trying to, you can express your opinions and just be respectful to each other. And I think, by and large, our chat took that to heart, and then these new people coming in again on both sides, and I think they were able to have this dialogue, which again just blows my mind that that we were a part of that we helped facilitate that in some way.
Yeah, that's awesome, and thank you guys for gifting out some memberships here. I think Laura from Interesting Captures just gifted out some memberships. Thank you so much, and thank you, everyone. I'm not going to go through the chat and individually say hi, but if you're new here, welcome. I appreciate you being here. And if you've been here before, hi, good to see you. But we have a lot to cover, and like I said, I'm going to try to stay on track, because we've planned this carefully, and it's been a long couple of weeks. Where did Andrew get his clothes for court? His sister and his mama. His sister, yeah, he looked really good. I told him, I'm like, I have never provided such a wardrobe for a defendant before in my life. So yeah, they had taken the job very seriously, and he did look really nice, and he was pleased with it. It makes them feel good, that they don't want to sit there in their jail
no
uniforms.
No, nor should they, right? That's prejudicial.
Right,
they're
prejudicial.
Not supposed to. Yeah. So.
Right, exactly. So you and I've sort of planned this video out, and we were going through it. So I have a video compilation that I made to help identify who is who. So I'm going to play that, and it's just people in the store, right? And you'll see the person's names come on, and we can see them by their outfits, because then you asked me to play the opening Chevron like parking lot, which is actually footage taken from across the street at East Tampa Pawn and Gun, and it can be hard to see who's who. So I am going to attempt, because we all know how good I am at this, and if Alexis and or Aaron can post questions for me, I am going to focus more on this than I am on my normal way of, reading the chat and going off on a tangent that I love to do so much. So let me find that. Let's add this. Oh, okay. So this doesn't have any sound. I can take us off if people can't see. So Andrew is there in the long plaid shorts. And then that is Cedric Brown, who was seen getting into another vehicle.
Andrew has the tank top. He's
Andrew
easy to...
has the tank top with, those sort of Burberry plaid shorts on. The clearest footage we have of anyone, and this was provided in discovery. So there you can see Andrew right there. He was 22 at the time. He's now 26. They've been locked up for 4 years. We have Devin Sampson, who is Devontae Sampson's brother. And the reason why he's included here is because, like I said, in discovery, in the police report, he was pointed out as having a red shirt on. And so we don't ever know what all will come in. And so this was to help the lawyers to familiarize themselves with what everyone was wearing. So this is James Denson here.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about it before we started, Sam, about James's build, and we were talking about that during our stream. He just looks so young. He looks like he's 13 or 14.
I know, especially in his mugshot. He looks really, really young. He is much smaller than everyone else. Mm-hmm. And I felt for him because I feel like every time he looked up, that camera was just staring him straight in the face. Mm-hmm. The back of Billy's head and the front of James's face. That's Jalen Bedward right there. Mm-hmm.
So these timestamps are showing throughout the day. So they generally were hanging out since like 2. Is that what you?
Yeah. So that the times are off.
Of course they are.
Yeah. On virtually none of the video that was admitted into trial. Alexis could tell you exactly which videos were how many minutes off, but obviously that is not Quandarius Hammond. That's just going to stick for a second. We'll move. Mm-hmm. That's Quandarius there. Yeah, let's see. What does that say? It is 8:22 p.m. It's still light out. This was August 22. Mm-hmm. I think it may have been off by more than that. There was a lot of stuff to keep track of.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think this was the trial where one video was off by like an hour and 2 minutes, and then another video was off like 3 minutes, and then another video was off like 26 minutes. It's like, why can't they all just be off at the same rate?
Amount of time.
Why do they have to be?
Right there, the tall black gentleman there, that's Devontae. Mm-hmm. We have footage from 17 businesses. Wow. And it wasn't like 5 minutes worth of footage from 17 businesses. It was hours of footage from 17 different businesses.
Now, real quick, I want to point out while this was happening before I saw this video tonight, but it was also in the trial. We were kind of speculating, like if this is as bad as everybody's saying it is, this neighborhood is such and such, and all this stuff, and this Chevron, this owner, does he know the people? Are they offering him protection? Something, or else he'd be robbed out of business if it's as bad as everybody, was making it out to be. So then in that scene, we do see Zavante fist bump what I'm guessing to be the owner or manager. So that kind of, once I saw that in the trial, I'm like, oh, now I get it. He's obviously friends with them. He lets them hang out, and maybe they do
Right.
offer a little bit of protection. If the neighborhood is not the best, maybe they do offer a little bit of protection.
Hillsborough Avenue is a major thoroughfare, right? It's a divided 2-lane, or I think it's 3 on in some places on both sides.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of occasion to be over there, so, but I have certainly studied a lot of Google Earth, which gives you, I use Google Earth rather than, I use Google Maps, but I also use Google Earth because of its satellite capabilities. And I think you can do it on maps, but you can run the time back. So, for example, if I pulled up footage right now of Hillsborough Avenue, it could have been taken by one of the satellites or the Google cars back in 2024, but I can run it back to 2020 to as close to the time of the incident as possible, so I could see what it really looked like. So I have driven that sometimes, but I'm not often over in that area of town. But from what I understand, that particular gas station is known as the Jet, or has formerly been known as the Jet. It has been a Chevron, it has been a Citgo, and it is a place that people do hang out.
We did a Google map at one point as well, and we were just kind of looking at the traffic, looking at the station. It was, I don't know when it was taken, the footage, because I think it changes every 6 months or so, but it was pretty heavily traveled, as you might expect. Like you said, 3 lanes both ways at times, goes down to 2 in some places. And I'm like, wow, it looks like just a bunch of garages and whatnot, but no, there was a couple restaurants. There was a 24-hour 24/7 laundromat right across the street. There were some sections, some pockets where I'm like, yeah, okay, that looks like it's not the best, but overall it wasn't, it didn't look that bad, but I'm sugarcoating it a little bit, but it seemed like, at least in the daytime, it's heavily trafficked. There's laundromats, there's restaurants. So again, I don't know when that was taken. Again, this was 5 years ago. Things may have changed for better or for worse, who knows, but
yeah, I mean, it's a road full of gas stations, car lots. I even think there might be a flea market that's over there. A friend of mine owned a garage back in there, so like I have been sort of in that little area before, but like I said, I stay in my bubble, which usually is my home. I don't venture out far.
Well, Harry doesn't want you. Harry doesn't want you to venture out far.
No, he did not want me to venture out far. Is there a lot of evidence that wasn't admitted? There's a lot of discovery that doesn't come in for one reason or another. It could be that the defense teams decided to file motions in limine to keep certain things out. It could be that they were not able to find someone that could lay the foundation or authenticate evidence. I have been looking at this for 4 years. I don't even know what to tell you in terms of, well, we've got the Julio Fulio case coming up where they're intending to try 4 on the DP in April, and that discovery is nothing like anything I've ever seen before. So I think that there was more the state might have tried to introduce. I was expecting more video than what they got in, but I also kind of go into a weird fugue state. So you guys, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have Chris here to talk about this trial, because I know he takes a lot of notes and pays attention, does recaps and all that. When you're in it, it's like there's 1,000 thoughts going through your head, and sometimes I'm not hearing who's testifying because maybe somebody has asked me to find something, so it's a lot. Like there's just a lot going on. Let's see. So what are my here? Let me add that. I do know how to do this. What are my thoughts on the judge on this case? I've been in front of him, not me personally, as part of a team, not for a trial, but for 2 hearings. And for those of you who've been here for a while, for the kid that had a verdict last August and still isn't sentenced, he, I don't know. I was surprised to find out he had been a criminal defense attorney at one point.
Did you know that he was a baseball player?
Yeah, somebody had told me that
Yeah,
partway in. Brian Gonzalez used to be a baseball player as well. So
right.
I don't know if they ever crossed paths in that, but
Yeah,
but
10
yeah.
years 10 years in the minor leagues. He was drafted by Cleveland. I think he played for Boston and then Oakland maybe. So yeah, that, and then he said the reason that he got into law was because he liked the way the Charles Manson prosecution handled themselves.
All
So
right.
yeah, just a
I
little,
didn't know that. I didn't know that part.
yeah, insight into Judge Fuson. Is that how you say it?
Fuson, yeah.
Fuson, yeah.
Fuson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he will he he there's a show called Billions,
Mhm.
and there's a character that gets introduced into Billions at some point. I think I've got this right. And this character is like Bullshit Bob, and he's every time you introduce him, he says, "I broke no bullshit." That's
Mhm.
how I feel.
Mhm.
The judge might be.
He was definitely like he took some hard lines, I think, but I thought he was, I don't know. Some people thought he leaned a little bit too much for prosecution. There were some times where especially with Brian, Mr. Gonzalez, that he was kind of giving him what for, and Miss Bradley as well. He was kind of telling them to, sit down. But anyway,
Yeah, and I do want to say this about the attorneys, and I came on stream last week, and we had done 3 days of jury selection. I was exhausted, of course. And I kind of got on my soapbox for a minute because I had seen some commentary back when I was watching comments, and then I decided I had no business watching comments, and that was why I have a channel.
mhm.
That I want to make clear about these lawyers. Okay, so Jennifer Spradley, the only female lawyer on the defense side, she is a public defender, and I think she's an excellent attorney, absolutely excellent. I really liked her. I liked everything about her. I liked her demeanor. I liked that she was like not afraid to stand up and speak out.
Mhm.
Um, and so I thought she was really good. She was Quandarius Hammond's attorney. Brian Gonzalez, Danny Hernandez, and Nick Sonardi are all private defense attorneys who have been practicing for over 40 years. They are contract vendors for the state, just like me. That's how I work for them. Is They are not public defenders, and I went on my soapbox last week about why public defenders are not bad attorneys, and I will stand on
Mhm.
that. And
Mhm.
then Mr. Fischetti, who was James Denson's attorney, if I am not mistaken, he was privately retained.
Mhm.
And so one thought that went through my mind when the verdict came back was, well, no one can say, well, this attorney, that just goes to show that this kind of attorney or that attorney is better or worse than any other, because they all got the same, you know,
Mhm.
the same verdict.
Yeah. Joe has a good point. Wasn't she the first defense attorney, Miss Bradley, to ask for the mistrial because she was representing Quandarius and they were in the same car together? So she was like, that may be prejudicial to my client if they're viewing car one driver as doing this. That might reflect negatively on my client. So she was the first one, as I remember. Sam, do you recall that as well?
I recall being stunned, but
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
we'll play that. We'll play that
yeah,
video, right?
we'll
Yeah.
get to that in just a
Yeah.
second. Let me grab through some of these questions real
Sure.
quick
Sure.
so I
Sure.
don't get too far behind, because I am not the pro at this that you are. Do I sit with the defense to aid in their cross examination, point out discrepancies, etc., or as the investigator, like when lead detectives sit with the state but don't help in the trial process? A little bit of both. You know, I have produced a lot of work product during the course of the case. So I have all of that there. I have all the discovery with me. I have a good working knowledge of it, or at least I think I do. Um, it it's also to, yeah, you know, maybe I pick up on something that somebody else missed because they were, you know, prepping for their cross or whatever. But I don't know. It's just what I actually was sitting at the defense when, even before I was an investigator. I'm not a licensed attorney, so I do have a law degree. I'm just not a licensed attorney. But like I said, I've been working with Mr. Snarty for nearly 10 years, and I've tried a number of cases with him. Everyone tried to sever. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure did. They were
This is our main question. Yeah, this is our main question. So you want to talk a little bit about that
um
as much as you can?
I don't go to pretrial hearings for the most part. But I do know that everyone tried to sever. They all joined in. I don't know who may have written the main motion, but I know everybody adopted it. And I think on your list of stuff that you had sent me, people were asking why try all five together, and did we have five juries? No, we had one jury, and why try all five together? Time, money, and maybe they thought they had a better shot at conspiracy if they try them all together. If you think about the YSL trial, there were no RICO charges in this trial, and I am going to be doing some stuff coming up on RICO because I think we're going to start to see more and more of that come down the pike. But I think that I haven't talked to the lawyers about it, but from my thought process is it's easier to get a conviction on five people who look like they're conspiring if you have all five people together. You know, and like I said, you know, financial reasons, time.
Right. Now, it wasn't Judge Fuson that denied the motion to sever. It was Judge Rice. Is that
Right. So the way
right?
that it's currently structured right now, and it's my understanding actually from Judge Fuson that it's going to be changing, but when you have a case like this, it doesn't start in a trial division. There's a handful of judges that try the major cases, and so they're up in trial division. So it's just like in federal court where there's a magistrate that hears like all the lower level arguments, but then there'll be a judge that tries the case. So that's how it is here, but they're having to change up the way in which they're even trying cases here because the state's attorney is handing out so few plea deals anymore that the trial calendar is it's just backed up insanely. So not all big cases are going to go to trial division. Some of them, as I understand it, and I could have it wrong, are going to stay down, like still in the same court, but like not a dedicated trial division.
Okay. So the state wanted to try them initially together. Then the defendants, and it was Nick that said first, he's the first one that brought up the motion to sever. And then I think at the end of the trial, Ms. Bradley did as well.
Yeah,
So
Alexis has it up here that Jen wrote the written motion to sever, and then Nick also argued it.
Okay, and Judge Rice denied it. Okay, so the state brings the charge of all five. Then it's up to any number of the defendants to say, no, we want to sever. Then it goes to a pretrial hearing, and the judge either accepts it or denies it. So it's actually the state that makes the first decision. It's not the defense that says, I want to be tried together, I want to be tried separately. They really don't have the choice. It's the state that has the choice.
100% the state.
Okay.
the state is in control, for
Right.
the most part. And like I said, this was a 6-count indictment, but they weren't all charged exactly the same. Um,
Right.
and
Right.
even though I have some documents here that we can look at or we cannot look at. I don't think I have the information or the indictment. I don't think we pulled that for tonight. But yeah, okay.
All right.
Let's see who's next.
So we talked about the motion to sever. That was the big one, trying them all together. Oh, do you want to take this one? Oh, yeah, CAR 2.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is my understanding about CAR 2? What happened to it, and how come there was no evidence on it? So, in the police report, CAR 2 is mentioned. They can name 3 of the 4 individuals they believe they saw got into CAR 2. They can't name the driver, although they have who they suspect was the driver. In his deposition, when Salea, the lead detective, is asked about it, he says, I think they were involved. I don't think I can prove it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, he didn't have enough evidence. Can I name the names that because this was in the trial, this was testimony.
It was in the trial. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So CAR 2 could be Maxwell Bedward, which is brother, Devin Sampson, Svante's brother, Kamani Bedward, obviously another brother, and then Cedric Brown.
Correct.
So those were the 4 that they thought. And then this leads us then into 4 separate 9mm casings were found, and only 2 could be identified back to any one of the 5 in the cars. And that, of course, would be James because he had his. So, and there was 25 casings found, only 2 of them. 4 separate weapons, 2 went back to the defendants. So that leaves 2 that were not found. So presumably that's CAR 2, and then 23 casings. Where do who do those belong to? So I thought if you're CAR 2, you better be thanking your lucky stars because 5 people went down for this. You could have very easily been up there as well.
So we have the casings, the exhibits from the trial, which I'll put up here in a minute. Mm-hmm. But if you definitely, like, if you look at it and you start looking at how many firearms there were, you have more. You have to include the drivers as shooters if you take CAR 2 out of the equation.
Absolutely. Or one of the passengers is like totally going Hollywood with, guns ablazing,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So should we, let me see. Did I get through the starred ones? I think I did. Okay. I think I got through the starred questions. Y'all can keep asking your questions. Just put them up. And somebody will bring them to my attention. And if I miss you, put it up again. Okay. Oh, Kelly's got a question here. Will the appellate attorneys cooperate with each other? No. So, I'll talk a little bit real quick about the appeals process. It's not a do-over, right? So an appellate attorney can be appointed for each of these defendants. And what is going to happen is that each of the trial attorneys will file a notice of intent to appeal, and then they will immediately withdraw. That just starts the process within the court system. Then it will be up to the defendants whether they wish to take a court-appointed appellate attorney or hire their own. But the entire record has to be transcribed. This is primarily a written process. It's not one where there's going to be, court hearings and we're going to see the defendants back in court and all the things. It's not what Sarah Boone wanted it to be, with lots of interaction. And it's my understanding, and it's, you guys, I graduated law school in 2014. I don't keep up with the rules beyond sort of like my little world of where I am. So forgive me if I'm not quite right on this, but it's my understanding that for this initial appeal, all the appellate attorney is doing is scrutinizing the record, looking for fundamental error that could have affected the outcome of the trial. So they don't get to like go back and look at all the evidence or look at all the discovery. They don't, it's not like, oh, we get to do this over again. It's that they look at the trial record. They look for constitutional issues. For some reason, the phrase fundamental error just keeps popping back into my head. So that is this initial appeal process. You're not allowed unlimited appeals. The court, there is an appellate process. It's been a minute since I worked on any appellate stuff, so like I would need to sort of refresh my recollection, if you will, in order for me to speak more on that. But no, they would not work together.
And chat, we see your questions. Mandy and Sherry have both asked about the defendants wanting to testify. We'll get to that, right? We'll definitely get to that. We see your questions, guys.
So you guys, I have not only is Chris in here, obviously, because you're looking at him, but I've got other people in tonight to help me, because normally, you know, I kind of like read chat and then I go off in a direction. I'm glad y'all are here. I'm not watching it. So trust that if you ask, it'll get put up here so to where either Chris or I will catch it. And I see a question right here in front of me, so I'm just going to go ahead and answer it, which is, do I know if any of the defendants wanted to testify? So we'll get to that a little bit further down. Why don't I run the initial video, do you think? Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning. The Chevron. Yeah.
Okay. So this
it's only like 5 minutes or so, right?
Yeah. So what I need to do though is remember what I need to do, right? When I went to streaming every other week, it just made things others. I need to share my screen, right? This is what I do. Where do I do that from though?
It's that plus the
plus. No, not that.
Should be.
It gave me a new layout.
Click on that, then
do present or invite, and then do share screen. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Allow Google Chrome. Okay, let's see. Defendants teamed up. So here we go. I'm gonna have to probably hold on. Let me hit play. Is the audio on?
Everybody loves your hair.
Oh, thank you. Can you see this okay? I don't even have my own stream up to where I can see it.
I can see it. Yeah. It's the interior of the gas station.
Oh, this is from Tampa Pawn and Gun.
Okay, there we go. And this is the state's opening, right? I think you said.
Oh, wait, there's the right. Okay. My screen is on a delay. I'm a professional, y'all.
Of course you are.
Total professional. Okay, so this is from the state's opening. He's talking, though. Why do we not hear him? What did I do?
Volume's up. Yeah.
I have the audio on. So he's talking.
No, I don't think he is right now.
Is he not? Is he just playing?
Not. Yeah, I think he's just playing. Yeah. And we don't really need to hear him. Yeah, let's just watch.
Okay, that's why I showed you the guy's video in the. So yeah, if you want me to pause it.
So there's Andrew, right? Andrew and is that Quandarius, right? Bending over right now. That's Andrew's on the right, to our far left, right? So that's Andrew and Quandarius bending over. Okay, that's those two. Okay. And I think, is that Savante by the car with the brake lights? I think I see like a he was wearing he's wearing all dark when he had something over his dreads. I think that's him. All right, okay.
So there's the other Samson.
That's Maxwell in the red?
No, you never see Maxwell, I don't think. That's
okay.
Oh my God, Alexis, what's his name? Or is that a bad word? I don't really remember. Okay, that was Jalen that just fell down.
Yep.
Now you see right there, one of the a person
Right.
just came running back from over.
All right, Andrew just
Across
took
the
off his,
street.
yep, Andrew just took off his
Took off
t-shirt.
his-
Yep.
Yeah.
Put it around his face. Yep. So that's the masking up. There goes Avante to the upper right. He's walking off into the field, right?
So the two cars that you're seeing are Zavante's car on the right with the brake lights on, and Jalen's Chrysler.
Yeah, there goes Zavante. He just went running. Now Zavante's about to get in the driver. The brake lights. There goes Zavante. So Zavante at this point, well, his outburst, he said that they were shooting, that they shot first. So
yeah, we'll play his thing.
Like,
and
I'm trying to see where, if
what are they reacting to?
Yeah.
And so I'm interested if in this clip, I'm supposed to be paying attention to the time to when to stop it. Oh, it's like 4 minutes. Okay. Like, I have cheat sheets that are built for me so that I don't just let things go on indefinitely.
Who's over by the dumpsters, right? Isn't that somebody getting the AR? Or is that Jalen?
Somebody is, I believe they say that is Jalen posted up over there where the words used.
Yeah.
Now
he's coming out with
a large.
Yeah. And then somebody else is going back. Who's that? I don't think we have. I don't know if he's identified. Like, at first I thought, are they going to the bathroom? What are they doing? Oh no, they got weapons back
and
there.
you see they're coming back and forth from across the street behind there. But this video, did we start this right where, I used your timestamps.
Yeah, no, this is fine.
Did this start where you wanted it to start?
Yeah, no, this is fine.
Interesting. This is
see, now they're in an excited state, as Miss Bonte kept saying.
Right, but what it doesn't show you is what they were reacting to.
I think it's fine. It just shows them hanging out and then them getting in the cars.
Let me see.
And we were able to identify them all.
Where does he start playing this at? Okay. Yeah, we did play it from the beginning. Okay, so did you see anything on here? See how they're all just chilling?
Yeah, they're supposedly playing dice, maybe? Is that what they were saying? Yeah, they're playing some dice. Yeah. Okay, so there's James in the black shirt, dark jeans. Quandarius is at the far left with the and I think he's talking to Andrew. James and Andrew are talking right now. And I think that's light jeans is Jalen. So the black shirt and the light jeans. So James and Jalen have their back to us, closest to that fence, guardrail, if you will. Andrew and Quandarius are playing dice or whatever they're doing.
Okay, right there.
Yeah. So
did you see what they were looking at?
Yeah, replay that again.
This is what the state says. I'm going by what's in evidence, guys, okay? So this is what the state presented. So watch.
There goes a car or truck, right? Something.
And do you see it was a car?
Now they all go over. So what happened? I know you don't have to say it or you don't know, but did that person yell at them? Did they honk? Did they shoot at them?
Did it look like it?
Yeah, we would have seen a muzzle flash, right? Wasn't that the whole thing? We would have seen if they did shoot, but that's so random. Why would you just...
Let me find us again. There we
are. Yeah, why would
I don't need to be that big.
I know. It seemed like, okay, so on Willie's side, he said that they stopped, they smoked, they drank some Hennessy or something, right? That was his testimony, that he and his sister stopped in the field to party a little bit.
His testimony was that they were going from a gathering at a place called that they refer to as DeSoto Park, that had been sort of a celebration of life of his father who had passed away a year prior, and that they were supposed to be going to meet additional family members for more celebration. They were looking for a specific location in that area.
Mhm.
And then as to what I'm trying to be really careful here because I only want to talk about what was admitted.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
And so you tell me what he testified to because I have trial like amnesia to some extent.
Well, we sadly didn't catch that exact testimony, but we heard about it through the state, and other testimony was that he and his sister pulled off. Of course, Sonny's in the back seat. They smoked some and they had some Hennessy. That came in through somebody else's testimony. Maybe even the state said that. Maybe the prosecutor said
That was that. So
in that field. That's why they pulled off.
the Hennessy was at the earlier
Okay.
celebration.
Okay.
They did pull off into a field, as my understanding, to wait, and because they were trying to reach Charles or Corey.
Corey, right.
I see my mods are talking about how to get my attention. Is there an issue, guys? And there is a private chat back here, which Alexis has access to, and I see them talking about whether or not they can see me. I don't have our Google backend chat up if there's something that needs my attention.
Yeah, Kathy, they were looking for a salon. So that was it Charles or Corey had the salon?
Yeah, it was Corey.
Corey, okay. And was Corey the cousin or was Charles the cousin to Willie? One of them was a cousin, right?
Right. They both were, I thought. I'm honestly not sure neither one of them testified.
Charles Dozier, Squeak, his nickname was Squeak.
Mm-hmm.
He was the cousin or cousins. I have Willie Brown had conversation with Corey Brown and Charles Dozier, Squeak, cousins. So maybe they both were his cousins.
I think they both were cousins.
Okay. So that's my next question. And again, I don't expect you to know this answer, but it's like, if the salon was in the neighborhood, do these guys, meaning the defendants, hanging out at this gas station, did they have their hair cut? Did their girls go there? Did their kids go there? Do they know Squeak? Do they know, and again, I don't expect you to know that answer, but
I don't know the answer to that. I know that he says he tried to reach, that he was supposed to go there and that he tried to reach him and was unable to.
Right.
And that was why he was driving around back there.
Yeah.
And the salon, I mean, it's 9:00 at night. Mm-hmm. The salon is actually right next door to the gas station.
Oh, is it? Wow. So then they must know that. I
mean, I have questions.
Right.
I'm just like, I'm sure your chat had a lot of questions, and I don't, like I said, this is my job, and I'm going to be very, very careful about what I say here.
Of course.
So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah. It's more of a rhetorical question, and it would be something I would love to ask Svante, be like, or any of the five, it's your neighborhood. You should know a salon that's, or you should know what's in your neighborhood, especially if it's only a block away.
Well, I mean, my thought is, I don't know that they were from that neighborhood, meaning Willie and Mary, but our phones have had GPS on them forever and a damn day. So,
yeah. All right. So that kind of sets the table, right? We kind of talked about that. Now everybody's seen that. How about, do you want to talk about the casings now, or what
sure.
Or the cell phone data?
It's up to you. I mean, I've prepared everything, and I just thought that since you were with your chat and you watched every minute of it, I'd just let you sort of direct what you wanted us to do. So yeah, I do have this. And let me see if I can find the right layout. How about that? Let's try adding that to stage.
All right.
Okay. This is where my blindness is not going to help. So these are the actual trial exhibits, except for the fact. Thank you, Alexis.
That's perfect. Yep, that's perfect.
I told the other mods, I'm like, she's babysitting me on the back end So, that's what everybody else is like helping out with chat. It takes a lot. I'm like a toddler, I require a keeper. So this is the actual trial exhibit, except that she went in and added some additional language. So like the color, the 9.9 millimeters, the 5.58 stolen Denson, all that. She's added some additional information for you guys as you go through these slides, because as she's told it to me, I had like a 60-inch screen next to me, and they would not give me this exhibit on digital. They're like, we don't have it. I'm like, you made it on a freaking computer. That's BS. So I was scanning this in today because Scotty got it printed for me. But as I understood it, you couldn't see the colors very well.
Yeah, this is fantastic. This is much better than what we were able to see. So this is great.
Okay.
Yeah, this is great.
Okay, so this is the first one. So this is the overall diagram. I'm going to have to make this really big because I cannot see anything. Okay, so this is what were you guys, what were your thoughts when you saw this?
That's a lot of, that's 50 casings. That's a lot. There were 52 markers put down, but only 50 casings. I think the other 2 markers were just, whatever random stuff. So it happened so what they did is, if you guys don't know or need a refresher, so this is Hillsborough, which runs east and west. So they went to the right, they did a U-turn, and then they came back left and they started shooting. So and then they also made a big deal. I guess both sides made a big deal about you're shooting and your car is moving, so the casings aren't going to just plop out and land there. They're going to roll, and then if a car drives past, that's going to make it roll even further. But the majority of these casings, as you can see, were from 45th to 42nd. Now, Zavante turned left onto 43rd, so that's why they thought. He did the first, or Quandarius did the first round of shootings, which were 10, and you can hear them. You can hear in the one video, you can hear bam, 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 bam. You can hear 10, and then they pull off, and then car 2 theoretically comes around, and then car 3. That's why they just got Zavante and Quandarius on shooting into the car, and they didn't get car 3. I think they had 2 different charges because they had already
right
left.
So it came down to the attempted M charges, right? So because Willie had gotten out of the car by the time the 3rd car came around,
right,
there was no attempted for him,
right, for Quandarius and Zavante, because they had already turned onto 43rd before car 3 and car 2 were even in the frame of the videos.
Yeah.
So, all right. So this is great. Okay. So if we can go to Alexis, I guess so that gives you the overall, right? So now can we go to, I guess, group, let's go through them. So
she did them, but just, I guess, we took whatever you had sent us in our messaging, and she being the one with the brain that's currently functional.
This is great.
Worked on this.
This is great.
The black, all the way to the left, the little black rectangle there with the big red dot, that's the crash site.
All right. So those were, this is 9 casings, even though the first volley, I counted 10 because I listened to it a couple of times. So they only found 9 casings. So, but you can see the grouping. I mean, they're all pretty much right there.
Well, they're grouping, and I don't know, because I don't know that I was listening all that carefully. So the FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement analyst, who is given everything that they collect off the scene, if I'm not mistaken, she grouped them for purposes of matching and submitting to NIBIN.
Yeah, well, there's James Kwong. He was the one that actually came up. This was his
testimony.
This was his testimony.
Yeah, I think he was the TPD analyst, maybe.
I have him as a senior crime lab analyst, firearm expert. So whatever that means. All right, so this then they're saying is Quandarius because he was the first shooter. This is car 1.
Okay. So then group 2. All right, so group 2, this weapon was not recovered. So there was a couple shots there right at the beginning, and then the car. So this is probably car 2 then. Oh yeah, weapon was not recovered. So we're thinking this is car 2, or is this car 3? So car 3 is the rifle casings and 2 casings from James Denson's Glock.
Right. Okay, so then groups 2 and 3 then have to come from car 2.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is the way that they're grouped by number, I don't know that means they were shot in that order.
True, yeah, because a car could have come and
do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Is like group 1 were the ones that matched each other. Group 2 matched each other. Is the way that I understood it.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I agree. But I would think, well, again, if a car came by, several cars came by, those casings are going to go flying all over. Plus, you're moving. Obviously, they're going.
I mean, did you see how fast those cars were going?
Yeah. All right, so that's group 3. So again, this was stolen.
Doesn't necessarily. So, this is the one that was recovered from Raheem Bryant. Okay.
Yeah, like a month later, 2 months later, whatever it was.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a Taurus 9mm Luger. All right. So.
And then group 4. Okay, so now this is
from James Denson's gun because he had put that into pawn right there at Tampa Pawn and Gun.
Like a month later, he pawned it like a month later.
Yeah.
And he said this was his main carry. Those were his words.
This was his favorite gun, and he put it into pawn, and the police went and got it immediately.
Yeah.
So if you look. His 2 casings here are here past the crash site.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
So it's not a leap to think that he was firing as they drove past the car because then the inertia the momentum would carry it that way because they're driving that way. So
it definitely could be. Yeah.
And I just find it blows my mind, and same with chat, that all these bullets were fired into this car. Well, actually, I think there was only 15 rounds that were actually found on the car.
17 holes, I think, in the car. Yeah. I think there were 17.
And Willie obviously escaped. Mary was uninjured, right? And just one bullet. All it took was only one bullet found Suni.
Right. And I know that the big question was, why can't they tell?
Yeah. And they explained it often. The firearms expert explained it that, went through the car. It had just had enough, it was stripped enough of its identifying, markings, I guess. And
it was a through and through. And I know that I don't know. Like I said, I have to not watch things. I can't watch comments and stuff. That's how I said it in last week's video. That's how I ended up here on YouTube in the first place. So, but I did notice that that people were I did see comments where people were like, how could you not know which one it was? And the medical examiner, nobody could tell. They couldn't tell.
Yeah.
They couldn't tell.
Yep. Firearms couldn't tell. Medical examiner couldn't tell. As much as we wanted that answer, just couldn't tell.
Correct.
So let's see. All right. This I thought this was really important testimony because it clearly showed James's involvement, because he said he never, he never lent that firearm out because people do stupid things with them. That's what the Detective Saleha said. So to me, this was one of the more, along with the cell phone data. This clearly, this clearly put James's, at least his firearm there, and if he never let it out of his sight, never handed it off to anybody, this to me was pretty damning for him.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
So that's what we have on the casings recovered. Did that answer your questions or give you a better look at what you?
Yeah. No, that was great. I appreciated that they did that and that the state did that. To me, that was a big moment in my mind of like, wow, there were 4 firearms used, 25 casings belonging to those. So where, they can identify 2 of those casings and those go back to James. So that's pretty bad for him. That was pretty bad for him.
Right. I mean, none of the other guns were ever recovered except for whatever was taken off of Raheem Bryant, in an unrelated arrest. So
right.
They never did recover any other firearm used here.
Yep. All right. So thank you for that.
Sure.
So let's see. Next up, I have we did the video from the Chevron, the casings, I guess the cell phone data, and then Zavante's.
Do we have any other questions that I need? I have 2 starred here. Do I know? So I was saving the defendant testimony one for you. It was also said in our chat that Mary wasn't even in the car, but a party in the block. I can confirm for you, Mary was in that car.
Okay. Yeah, there were some people. Well, I think it was more the people that from the neighborhood were saying she wasn't even in the. Yeah.
Yeah. There is. It might not have come in because, like, I don't remember what clips they showed. I'm always doing different things, but in video that was provided to us in Discovery, she's in the car. She is in the car.
Okay.
Okay, so you wanted to. Nobody else? Other questions?
Yeah,
right
I guess the cell phone data would be next, unless anybody has any questions about the casings.
There's so few. Oh, there's my dad. So here's a fun fact for you guys. My mother and father went to high school together, and so they've been divorced since I was like 9 years old. But they had like their 85th high school reunion tonight. Not maybe that much, but
kidding, right?
But it's been a minute, I would say. So they actually traveled there together.
Oh wow!
So hopefully they're both still alive and well. I see my father in there. He said they were listening to the first hour in the car. So nice. So that's good. That was sure to have some of the tongues a wagging there at the old high school reunion, but nothing nefarious, no worries, just carpooling. Okay, so let's see. What were we doing? Phones? Yeah.
Let's do at least Andrews. Yeah, we can do Andrews and/or all the others.
We've got all of them. Hold on, let me put them back in order. There's only 5.
Yeah. So for the casings, the most damning evidence I thought went against James, and then for the cell phone data, I thought the best evidence.
Well, what did you think about in terms of for the fact that you can see Jalen with a big rifle getting into his car?
Yeah, that didn't bode well either, but they didn't.
Right.
But he's the driver, so
right. So exactly.
So
right.
Yeah. No, that didn't bode well for him as well.
For that car.
Yeah. But a lot of people were saying, well, it's the same thing if a bank robber. You're the getaway driver, you're still going to be liable, and then especially if that person kills somebody in the commission of a crime, that's raises it up even higher. So
they were charged with principal theory, and so I do have like I showed you before we came on, I pulled some of the jury instructions if anybody wants some clarification, because I believe in your list that you had sent over from your chat, people were asking maybe about how that was.
Yeah. Let's get to that maybe at the very end. We can get to that. We'll follow like the course of the trial. And we'll get
no,
to that.
definitely keep me on track, please. Like,
Sure. All right.
Like I said, I'm a toddler. I tend to wander off.
You need guardrails. Okay. So
I do.
Zavante, he's like right there. I mean, literally.
These are his timing
right
advance records. So
and this happened at 9:04, right? That's when we, according to
so the whole thing from start to finish was like 2 minutes. From them leaving the gas station, going up, making the U-turn, coming back around.
Now, their defense, even though we didn't actually see one presented, the word on the street was that they all, well, I guess the state said it a couple times, you want us to believe, or they want you to believe that they got in their cars and they just kept driving east. But their cell phone data shows that they actually were in the area between 9 and 9:10, right? That was the main thing. With this happening at 9:04 to 9:06.
Yeah, right. 9:04. Well, it was like, it comes out like 9:03, 9:02, 9:03, 9:04 ish.
Right. So,
but you've watched enough trials now. You're probably more knowledgeable than me about timing advance records. But this is the side of the tower. It's the signal is pinging off of, and I believe the red may be the crash, or the red may be the chevron and the blue may be the crash, or vice versa. I can't see it any better than you can, although I do have the original here.
I think the red was the crash because that's further down.
Yeah, that may be.
I think it was further down.
I mean, the whole thing happened in just the tiny stretch, of road, and yet 17 different cameras captured pieces of what the state presented.
Amanda, you asked a good question. Were there any bullet holes in any of the defendants' cars? We talked about that before we came on air. I don't know. Do you want to discuss what Zavante, that came out real quick and then they struck it from the record about the Instagram?
Right. So we've got. Oh, I have Zavante's outburst, and so I thought we would just discuss that.
We will, but there was the he said it wasn't him that said it. It was somebody else said. Oh, well, here, let me find it.
Look at those cats in your background. That's so funny. So my dad says my mother is not dead, so that's a plus. That's good. You never know. And my mom lives an hour away from my dad, so she is probably still not home yet, but hopefully they had fun.
Yeah, there was something that it was struck from the record that I forget who asked the question, but it was that night on Instagram, somebody posted, maybe it was Zavante posted, there were 3 bullet holes in his car. So,
but who would have testified to that? Is what I'm saying. I don't think that ever came in.
Well, it came in, but it was struck. Like somebody said it, or I think it may have been on Cross. I think it was Cross, and it may have been Miss Bradley. It may have been her crossing somebody, and that was objected to and taken out, stricken from the record.
Okay, so. I thought that was maybe part of Zavante's outburst.
No.
Like I said, I'm not always hearing everything that is said. And I found it even more difficult because I couldn't see the witnesses from where I was with, I have this big screen and then there's the judge's huge bench, which is like multi-level. And then you've got a table full of men and a podium and another table full of people. And I could see like a sliver of the jury. I couldn't see the witness stand.
Oh, wow. Wow. So the Chrysler 300, which is what Jalen was driving, that was car 3, that was recovered. But Zavante's was...
it was recovered.
It was abandoned, right? They found it. It was abandoned. Yeah. All right.
So we'll talk about that in just a second. We'll show that clip, and we'll talk about that in just a second.
Okay. So Zavante clearly is showing. Who else can we pull up?
Yeah, I've got.
Pull
I think
them all
we have
up.
everybody's.
Yeah.
So there's
Quandarius.
Quandarius.
Yeah.
So everybody except for Andrew had the same provider, which is why there were timing advance records. There's Jalen. James, I don't know why he has so many hits, but
right.
Not too many questions about where he was. He may not have had anything turned off on his phone. He may have been bouncing off of everything.
Yeah, there's at least 4 towers here. And then here, okay.
And this is Andrew's phone.
So when I saw this, I thought that's probably the best evidence for him to say, for his not guilty, for him to be like, hey, look, I was 5 to 10 minutes away, from where this was happening. Now, if this happened at 9:03, 5 minutes, he could very easily have gotten away. But so when I saw that, I'm like, all right, if we are to believe the cell phone data, then that would put a little bit of doubt in my mind.
So the explanation, if I'm not mistaken, was that if his carrier was AT&T, this is Nelos. This is not timing advance. So they just did not have the same kind of, because they were in this process of merging. I think, did Sprint and AT&T merge?
Oh, geez.
I don't know. Some of the phone companies merged somewhere along the line. And apparently this took place right around that duration. And that's why these were the records that they were able to get. And we looked at them. We had an expert look at them. Of course, obviously the state did. And, that was everybody's consensus, basically.
Yeah.
On that.
Chat, what do you guys think? Do you think what out of the cell phone data, what did you guys think of that? And we can move on to the next thing, but what do you guys think of that? Let us know what you think about Andrew's pinging on I-4, which was a good 5 to 10 minutes away from the shooting. So Amanda, surely that makes him not guilty if you believe the records imply the guilt by placement.
Okay, so Alexis is clarifying about, I'm looking at it on a different screen. Surely that makes him not guilty if you believe the records imply, somebody took that away too fast for me. Okay, Alexis said that the IG post said 3 bullet holes in Zavante's car. This came out during discussion on Tree's Fit. So I think it may have been a discussion in your chat, if I'm understanding him.
I saw that.
I don't remember that coming in.
It wasn't official, and I'm trying to see through my notes, and
I think it was in your chat. I think it was in your chat, and then we'll get to this. So in to answer the question, there were no bullet holes in Jalen Bedward's car. I don't know whether or not I can't remember now whether or not they found the car that they believe was driven by Maxwell Bedward. Zavante Sampson's car was found. So what happened? Let's show what happened in court. And when I watched this today, I realized, oh God, where is it? Let me start moving some of this stuff off of here. I realized today, it's share my screen. I'll be all right. I realized today that the camera didn't catch it all.
No, it didn't. Yeah.
Camera didn't catch it all. Did not know that. Let me see here. Hold on. I'm just taking away options from myself for the safety of us all. Okay. All right. So I got to do this, and then we're going to share the screen. And it's this one. Also share tab. Okay. Share. All right.
But he has the same result. He's guilty of murder, just as are his co-defendants. We talked about motive versus intent. Motive is not what needs to be established. There are counts for which the intent of the defendants needs to be established. In principles to a crime, did the defendant help another person?
Somebody shot that.
Taking it.
Somebody shot that. It's as simple as that. Oh, somebody shot. I feel sorry for that little girl. Somebody shot. Look, it's the truth. Hey, be quiet.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the court's going to take about a 10-minute recess while we take care of some obvious issues. We'll be back when we can.
All rise for the jurors.
So he pretty much just admitted that they did it.
So what he had done that you didn't see was he had said on Friday that he intended to testify. I think it was Friday. I have no idea what day of the week anything was.
It was Friday.
I don't even know. I don't even know if this trial was yesterday or 10 days ago.
Yeah.
So he had pictures in his hand. So when we left court on Friday, it was that Mr. Sampson had intended to testify, which I was actually looking forward to. But then he obviously decided he wasn't going to testify, but they had color photos, right? And so what the camera didn't catch was he was doing this with his photos. I will testify. I will testify. They shot at me. So, they took him out and he never wanted to come back in. I think he had to come in for the verdict, but the reason we were gone so long was because they had to set up a TV for him in another room, and it was going to take like an hour to do that.
Yep.
When his car was found, and this is, I'm just trying to make sure that this isn't a motion that's publicly available. When his car was found, Brian and Billy Lane and crime scene tech, everybody went out to where the car was, and they pulled Bondo off of his car, and it showed what looked like, it wasn't a straight shot bullet hole, but it looked like a jagged tear in the metal. It looked very, very rusted to me in the photographs I saw, which are a part of an exhibit that is in that you can find in the docket. So when I was going through the photographs of the victim's car, in this case, I was noticing that, bullet holes aren't necessarily straight on, right? There were actually some tears in the victim's car that it would make sense. Like if a bullet is traveling in the opposite direction of the car, it would make a jagged tear. So I could definitely see how that could have potentially been a bullet hole. But in the end, I mean, Brian had the crime scene tech there. I think maybe Billy was there because Billy had been the one to like pry the Bondo off of the car. Saleha may have been there. Everybody was lined up, and at the end, Zavante decided that he was not going to testify. So, but that's why the pictures were there, and the only interaction I ever had was with Andrew. I mean, I've been meeting with Andrew Thompson since December of 2021. Wow. So I don't know Zavante Sampson. I don't know any of the other defendants. And I only know Andrew through the context of my professional relationship of this case. What I have heard was that there may have been a prior incident involving a car looking a lot like Willie's, potentially a different day earlier in the week. And that is something that I heard from various outside sources. That is nothing that, if it could have been, I suppose, corroborated or testified to, maybe it would have been. But even still, if you look at what's in evidence, they were not being shot at right then and there.
Yeah.
At least not that the cameras captured, right? We saw them all intact leaving the gas station together. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, yeah, self-defense, stand your ground, whatever, but there has to be like an imminent threat.
Right. And if it happened a week before, a month before, a day before, whatever, hours before,
that's just not, that's not enough. And whether the laws of the street agree, that's not what the laws of the state say.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. And so, to my knowledge, that is the only evidence that his car may have been shot at some point. I don't have any further knowledge about that. And like I said, Brian Gonzalez filed a motion about that, and that is in the court docket, and I believe there are photographs with it.
Do you, and again, you don't have to answer as best as you can. Like, we always want the defense to put on some kind of case, and when we don't get that, we're left to wonder what if, and play the what if game, and why. Yeah. So what if all five got up and said, yeah, they shot at us? Like, what if they all had the same story? Obviously they could have all gotten together and, lied, but I mean, yeah, they shot at us the week before, and they were driving around. They, we saw them with guns, and they shot at us again. I mean,
well, again, unless they are actively being shot at, you do not get in your car and go chasing after someone.
Yeah. And we wouldn't have heard from the pawn shop because there was no audio, but we would have.
There were other videos with audio, though. Oh. Did they show the one with Willie Brown on the residential street? Yes, because they brought in Michael Coberly, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you heard shots there.
Yeah.
There were some videos that had audio.
But that was on Hillsborough. That wasn't at the Chevron. Do you think they would have picked up shots from the Chevron?
Yeah. So, I mean, the cameras from Tampa Pawn and Gun and the Chevron cameras themselves basically had angles like this. I mean, there wasn't anything that wasn't covered. You would have heard it and or seen it. I'm not saying that it never happened. I'm saying that right then and there, at that time, the evidence does not show that they were being shot at.
Yeah.
And the law does not support you jumping in cars, arming yourselves, and chasing after that person. The law would say you call 911.
Well, we talked about that, and people in our chat were like, that's not going to happen. You don't call law enforcement in that area.
Sure. I understand. And so. Obviously the laws of the streets are different than what the laws of the state are. Yep. And so I can't speak to whether, all I can tell you is that if there had been, like I said in my video last week, the burden is 100% on the state at all times. The defense never has to say a word. They don't have to cross-examine anybody. They don't have to do an opening statement. They don't have to do a closing statement. They don't have to put on any evidence. The burden never leaves the state.
Right.
So the state has to prove each and every element of every charge beyond a reasonable doubt. And the defense does not have to prove innocence. The state has to prove guilt.
Right.
And then, so like I said, I do have some of the jury instructions if you wanted to look at any of that.
Yeah.
I have a verdict form.
Yeah, let's get to that because we're, following the course of the trial, if you will. So we saw, we went through the trial. So let's get to the verdict.
So let's see. I just have some selected jury instructions here.
Okay.
I'll blow this up.
And we will say this about this: the jury deliberated. They even had questions. They had 3 questions. They took their time.
Yeah,
they took their time. You
did.
said 14 hours. I have like 14 and a half. I mean, it was.
You had a timer going. So, I mean, 14 without like 2 hours in there for lunch, you know, because they had lunch both days. We thought when they came back with the questions that they did, that we were not going to see a verdict straight across. I was stunned. I guess I never should be in this, I talk about how I'm jaded all the time now. I was kind of surprised. I think all of us were surprised. We didn't expect them to come back the way they did on every defendant, on every count. And I know that there have been questions about, well, how can they all be charged, with committing the first degree M if, like, say one of them was driving and not shooting, and that's the principle. That's the theory of the principle. So
we were split on that. A lot of people in chat were saying, if you're in the car, you're guilty no matter what. And then a lot of people were saying they can't prove anything, or he was just driving. How could he know what was going to be going on? So we were kind of split on that.
Right. It's up to the jury. And while, working as a member of a defense team, you always want to see the best outcome for your client. I have said here from day one, I'm not here, no matter how much I like them, to allow guilty people to go free, or converse. I don't want anybody innocent to be locked up, and both happen. I like Andrew Thompson very much. I love his family. I am deeply saddened, but I'm not. That jury took 14 hours.
Yeah, they definitely, and with the 3 questions. I have the 3 questions.
And if they had come back within an hour and a half and said this, I would have been, the thing is, like, I'm heartbroken for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning, it's not just, yes, it's horribly tragic that a 4-year-old girl lost her life, but I'm also heartbroken that this is the state of things, and that these men who have families of their own, some of them have children of their own, there's loss all the way around here. And I hate seeing this. I talk about this all the time about, more and more and more young Black men are being locked up. But in my mind, I have to say, okay, the jury took their job seriously, they evaluated the evidence that was presented. Now, you would hear people like Nick Sinardi or Jen Spradley or Mr. Fischetti, any of them say, Your Honor, I renew my objection on behalf of, and then they would all jump in. The reason why they are doing that is they are preserving over and over and over again a ruling they don't like for appeal. So, and I tried a case with Nick Sinardi back in 2016 where he preserved an issue for appeal. The conviction got overturned on appeal. We tried the case again in 2020, and the client walked out the door.
Oh, wow.
Because the state couldn't make their case.
Right.
But the appellate attorney had found a constitutional error that would have fundamentally changed the outcome of the trial. That's what the appeals attorneys are looking for. And I find appellate work to be absolutely fascinating and something I think I would be deeply interested in, but nobody wants to pay for that. So
Will you be following them through the appeal process? Like, are you going to
I
keep
would
tabs on
say
them? Or-
that
and how do you? Like, because you're out of the picture now, right?
right, I leave it up to a family. If a family wants to stay, I have taken a ginormous step back from my personal relationships with. I used to make myself available by phone. You know, I had a funded jail account, phone and tablet messaging, and I would give family members my phone, and then I just 100% stopped. So Andrew's family and Andrew as a client, besides the young man that still has not been sentenced and who is now looking at a retrial, which like infuriates all of us to no end. They're sort of the last of my old school bonding, you know. And so I leave it, I leave it in their hands, and most of the time I don't hear from them again. And that's okay. Like I have to move on, they move on. And I can sometimes I hear things from other attorneys, or I hear things down the road, whatever. But I do my job to the best of my ability, and I'm glad that I do my job at the age that I'm doing it, because a younger me would have not been able to emotionally divest myself the way that I can now, but I did speak with Andrew, his sister, and his mother on the phone the other day, which I'm pretty sure the jails frown upon all of that. All of that. But I'm helping them. My job, I didn't have to go back for jury deliberations. Like technically my job ends at the close of evidence. Like, but Alexa said to me, are you going to go back? And I said, well, yeah, because I didn't tell any of them I wasn't coming back. I also don't want it to give the appearance to anyone that it's weird that somebody has abandoned ship on the defense of somebody. But I stayed in the courthouse because there's really nowhere to go. And I just tried to answer their questions, as much as possible. And now I'm just trying to help them. They feel a sense of safety with me for whatever reason. But right before the trial, I went through with Andrew's mother and sister. I laid out the entire case for them. I laid out the process for them because they'd never been through it before. Never. They had no idea what to expect. They don't understand what the appeals process is. So I'm like, I told his sister, like yesterday, maybe, I was like, you're going to have to give me, I have to look some of this up again, because I don't do enough appellate work to make sure that I give you the exact correct information. But, I told them what I told you guys tonight, which is it's not a do-over. If you get a new trial, that's a do-over. An appeal is not a do-over, right?
No. Right.
So, but for people who haven't been involved in the criminal justice system, they don't know that.
No.
But Andrew will be super excited to hear that everybody thought he looked really good. He will love that. He will absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So on this one, let's see, this is discharging a firearm from a vehicle within 1,000 feet. And you can see that to prove this, the state must prove the following two elements beyond a reasonable doubt. And it names the three that are charged with this count, which is Quandarius, Andrew, and it's or James was an occupant of a vehicle. And that Quandarius, Andrew, or James, they thought these were the three shooters, right? Knowingly and willfully discharged the firearm from within the vehicle. So, and then it goes on to define firearm knowingly and willfully. Okay. And then I'm backwards. Sorry. I have gone through these backwards. I apologize. No wonder I was confused. Hang on. And we don't have to look at all of them. And there were 50 pages, so these aren't even all of them.
So count 1 was Suni, count 2 was attempted on Mary, and count 3 was attempted on Willie. That's what my notes show. Does that sound about right?
Yes, but then you also have conspiracy,
Yeah, that's
and
4.
then you had the
5 was
firing a
shooting,
missile.
right. 5 was shooting at, within, or into a vehicle, and then 6 was discharging of that firearm from a vehicle.
Right. So, okay, so here's the biggest part that I think that people don't understand. Oh, and because I always forget to do this, I'm just going to stop and say thank you so much for being here. If you would hit like, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. I would love it. Thank you so much. Okay, now nobody has to yell at me that I forgot to do it again. Okay, so principles. This is a big thing here in Florida. So it essentially means that the defendant did some act or said something that was intended to and that did incite, cause, encourage, assist, or advise the other person or persons to actually commit or attempt to commit the crime. So for first degree premeditated and attempted first degree premeditated, the state must prove the defendant intended that the killing of Suni Bell or the attempted killing of Willie Brown and Mary Harrison to occur.
Mm-hmm.
So there's your intent for first degree, that they intended to kill someone. Attempted, it is not necessary for the state to prove the defendant intended the death of Suni Bell. Now, would any person say they intended to kill a 4-year-old child? Absolutely not.
No.
I don't believe anybody knew there was a 4-year-old child in that car or standing up on the back seat of the car.
Correct.
Right. So, but that's where the distinction of the law versus life, I guess, comes into play. You're taking that risk. It's not necessary for a principal to know every detail of how a murder or attempted murder, or shooting at or into a vehicle will be committed as long as the principal intended the M or the attempted M or shooting at or into a vehicle to occur and did some act or said something that was intended to help and did help the M or attempted M or shooting at or into a vehicle to occur, to be found guilty of an M or an attempted M with a firearm as a principal. It is not necessary for the state to prove a defendant knew another participant of the M or attempted M would be or was armed. And that is the nail in the proverbial coffin.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's it right there.
That's it.
Yeah. And as the state said, you don't shoot 50 times into a car and expect people to just walk away, or it's not a love tap. I forget exact wording, but it's something bad was going to happen that night when 50 shots are fired, And I was talking in our chat, I'm like, even it could have been so much worse. Like somebody could have been walking on the sidewalk. It could have, the victim's car, Willie, could have turned and could have rolled over and gone into the oncoming traffic, or the guys that are following them even could have smashed into that car if it was rolled over.
I mean, there are traffic cams. There was traffic on that road in both directions. Yeah. So
as bad as it was, and it's terrible, I'm like, wow, it could have been exponentially worse.
It could have been exponentially worse. You're correct.
So when you fire 50 rounds anywhere in public, especially at a car, it's not.
That's reckless indifference. Depraved, whatever. Yeah. All the phrases. So this is the instruction on weighing the evidence. And I think what I've done in the past, and we haven't done it for a minute, is we can put the documents, at least the jury instructions, up on Patreon if people want to take a look at it.
Okay.
But down here, it says, whether the state has met its burden of proof does not depend on the number of witnesses it has called or upon the number of exhibits it has offered, but instead upon the nature and quality of the evidence presented. The fact that a witness is employed in law enforcement does not mean that his or her testimony deserves more or less consideration than that of any other witness. I will tell you this. I now know the difference between a Tampa police investigation and a Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office investigation. And
Go on.
one is better than the other, and Tampa police is not it.
Okay.
It would have been a much tighter, I mean, clearly they proved their case, but I don't know how impressed you guys were with the law enforcement witnesses that testified, particularly Detective Salea, but I was less than impressed with him. So this is about credibility. Again, that's expert witness. These are tiny. We're gonna have to work on this for next time. These are the rules for deliberation. And one of the things that was really important for the lawyers to get across, at least on the defense side, was that this case must not be decided for or against anyone because you feel sorry for anyone or are angry at anyone.
Yeah, that was the big one because I think the state was like, you know, a 4-year-old, or no, I guess it was maybe the defense lawyers were saying, you know, your 4-year-old is gone. You know, you can't take that out on somebody just because you want to take it out on them. There has to be the evidence.
You want there to be punishment for the loss of life, and it says that your verdict should not be influenced by feelings of prejudice, bias, or sympathy. Your verdict must be based on the evidence and on the law contained in these instructions. You know, so I think that was very important. And it's here, this one is multiple counts and multiple defendants. A separate crime is charged against each defendant in each count of the indictment. The defendants have been tried together. However, the charges against each defendant and the evidence applicable to him must be considered separately. A finding of guilty or not guilty as to one or some must not affect your verdict as to any other defendants or other crimes charged. And their questions were, you know, if we come back on this, is it a mistrial? Do we lose everything for everybody? Does nobody get, you know?
Yeah, what did you guys think when those questions came back? Were you
I mean, we all thought it was, yeah, I mean, I think we all thought it was
like encouraging, right?
Yeah, encouraging. You know, it meant that they were, at the very least, they were looking at each charge and the lesser included. Right? Because they were charged with capital. So that's mandatory life. The only reason sentencing got set off is because James Denson had no prior felonies and he's entitled to a pre-sentencing investigation. It's not going to change anything. And then they were saying that Jalen didn't have any prior felony convictions either, and he may be entitled to one as well. And so that's the only reason why we're going back on October 27th for the sentencing. There's no question in the sentencing because they were all convicted on the highest charge, which was a capital charge, which is mandatory life. There's no discretion there. The only way they are getting out is if they get new trials, and that will be separate as to each person. It won't be decided as a group.
Right. I thought after I saw those questions, I thought it would be a hung jury. That's kind of where I was leaning.
I think that we were like that too. And, you know, everybody's like, God, this is taking so long. And I was thinking to myself, okay, but is that not a good thing? Do you want these people to walk back there in that room and decide your fate in an hour?
Yeah.
On something as complex with this? And I mean, I see, you know, I'm trying to sort of, you know, keep my eyeballs too away from the chat, but a lot of people didn't think they made a very strong case, or didn't make their case. And I think some of the comments I've seen, maybe on some of my own posts, were, the jury got it right, state didn't make its case. And I'm not saying the same people said that, but I've seen both sides of it. The state must have made their case for the jury to have come back with the verdict that they did. And
Sure.
while like I said, I'm not upset with it. I don't know how to phrase it right. Like, I don't want to see Andrew Thompson spend the rest of his life in prison. I also don't want to see a little girl's death go, unpunished. But I'm not angry at this jury, because it's not like the Karen Reed juror came back who said, well, everything was just a distractor. He was there, she was driving a car, she had some drinks, therefore that's it, she must have done it. Right? We didn't have that here.
Right.
So
have you seen any news of a juror speaking? Have they come out at all? Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I haven't seen anything. Let's see, what day of the week is today? Saturday. I went right back to work.
Well,
I was working until Thursday night at like 9:30, 10 o'clock, because I had a meeting yesterday morning at like 8:30. I mean, I'm just exhausted, I see Janie saying that the lesser charges are confusing. I understand that. Okay, so this is the first degree M charge. And so the question of premeditation is a question of fact to be determined by you from the evidence. It will be sufficient proof of premeditation if the circumstances of the killing and the conduct of the accused convince you beyond a reasonable doubt of the existence of premeditation at the time of the killing. So it's after consciously deciding to do so. The decision must be present in the mind at the time of. The law does not fix the exact period of time that must pass between the formation of the premeditated intent and the killing. The period of time must be long enough to allow reflection by the defendant. That's what I'm saying here, right? Is even if they had been shot at, it wasn't like an instantaneous retaliation. You saw them standing around before they got in the cars. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so often we see an act happen and it's within, seconds. This act happened, it took minutes, meaning they reacted, they got in the car, they drove, they chased them down. This is the state's words, and, they hunted them. I don't necessarily, that was, that's the state really using emotional verbiage there. But that's thinking about something longer than just, you bumped into me and knocked my beer out and I'm going to punch you, or something like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It took a lot longer for them to get angry, to stay angry, to continue to be angry,
Right. Right. Exactly. 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 So this is the second degree. So this would be the lesser included, which means that they didn't intend it, right? Let me see. Oh my God. I didn't realize how tiny this was.
You can blow it up, no? Can't you? Zoom in?
No, not it. I'm at full screen on my screen.
Okay. All right.
So this one does not include the intent. This is the act is eminently dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind. It is an act or series of acts that a person of ordinary judgment would know is reasonably certain to kill or do serious bodily injury to another, and is done from ill will, hatred, spite, or an evil intent, and is of such a nature that the act itself indicates an indifference to human life. In
Mhm.
order to convict, it is not necessary for the state to prove the defendant
Mhm.
had an intent to cause death. Everybody was hoping they would come back for
That
this.
seems to be more in line
Because,
with,
yeah, right?
I
But
don't think they intended, obviously, nobody intended to have a 4-year-old, taken out, but shooting into a car 50 times or, 12 times, however many, that definitely, there was intent to cause some kind of damage and harm, willfully, something bad was going to come out of that. But yeah, I think I would have leaned more into this.
Laura, take care of yourself, please. And thank you so much for being here. Yeah, so, and then the second lesser included would be manslaughter. And you only need 2 elements, which is that she is dead and that they intentionally committed an act or acts that caused the death. Every person has a duty to act reasonably towards others. If there is a violation of that duty without conscious intention to harm, that violation is negligence. So I think that this one wouldn't have flown, right? Because
Yeah.
if you're shooting into a car, you're intending to do, like, I feel like if I was reading manslaughter versus the one we just looked at, what was that second, that would apply more than, oh, my mom's home too, everybody came home alive, yay, congratulations, mom and dad, for surviving that together. Okay. So every person has a duty to act reasonably toward others. If there's a violation of that duty without any conscious intention to harm, that violation is negligence. The defendant cannot be guilty of manslaughter by committing a merely negligent act, or if the killing was either justifiable or excusable homicide. And we didn't have, do you see the distinctions here?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
like, the jury went to the most, they went to the highest charge. They could have gone to second or to manslaughter. If, just being devil's advocate, if I were reading these, I would have fallen in the middle. I wouldn't have gone with first degree, and I don't think I could have seen my way to manslaughter. But
I agree. Yeah. I think the intent to cause some kind of harm and damage was there, but not the intent to take out a 4-year-old. So
right. But there's this idea of transferred intent. So if I intend to kill you and I instead kill Aaron, it doesn't matter because I still had the intent.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Right. The intent is there whether or not you...
It doesn't matter who you intended to kill.
But I see that point, but then also, if my intent is to take me out and then I'm not where you think I am and somebody else is there, and it's like, isn't that then a misguided bullet, if you will? Wouldn't that be...
It's considered, unless I am wrong, and I'm sure somebody in the chat will correct me if I am wrong on the law, it is transferred intent. Intent to, like I said, like if you and Aaron were standing right there and my intent was to get you and not her, but for some reason you shifted slightly to the left, even though I hadn't intended to get her, if I got her,
the
that's
intent
still
is the same. Yeah. I gotcha. Aaron's asking, what? Why me?
I'm just using you. Sorry, Aaron. Just,
Right. Well, if we're both driving in a car and you're trying to take me out and you shoot and you miss me and you hit Aaron, you were still...
Right. Well, and I think that shooting at a vehicle, that's wanton disregard and evidence of a depraved mind. I can get behind that. But I guess they're saying that, like, if you demonstrate the effort to go and put all these people in cars and go chasing after them and shoot into another car, then you have the intent to kill someone. Right? So then you have the attempted homicide, justifiable attempted, and excusable attempted. And this is what I think people in your chat were saying, right? When we were talking about it a minute ago, well, somebody had, and what Zavante said in court, which was that somebody had shot at him. These are the instructions that would apply there, right? So, you would have to find that. Oh my God, can you read that? Because I'm having a hell of a time reading it.
I can. Which part do you want me to read?
Go ahead if you don't mind, and read the introduction to the attempted at the top.
Sure. Attempted first degree includes the lesser crimes of attempted second degree and attempted manslaughter by act, all of which are forms of attempted homicide and all of which are unlawful. However, an attempted homicide that was excusable or that was committed by the justifiable use of deadly force is lawful. If you find that there was an attempted homicide of Mary Harrison and or Willie Brown, or by any or all of the defendants, you will then consider the circumstances surrounding the attempted homicide in deciding whether it was attempted first degree or attempted second degree or attempted manslaughter by act, or whether the attempted homicide was excusable or resulted from the justifiable use of deadly force.
So then if we have justifiable, this is what we were talking about just a little bit ago, an attempted homicide is justifiable and lawful if necessarily done while resisting an attempt to or commit a felony upon the defendant, or to commit a felony in any dwelling house in which the defendant was at the time of the attempted homicide. So that's more or less your stand your ground.
Right.
Aaron, I'm not trying to have you offed. I'm not trying to off you. I was just using the example in front of me, which is your husband. Sorry. And so then we have justifiable attempted, right? Did I just read that? Yes.
Yeah.
And then excusable attempted by accident or misfortune in the heat of passion or by love. I mean, I'm surprised they got that one in there, to be honest. Because, like we said, we didn't see an altercation right then and there, you know.
So who would this be? The defense put that in then?
I don't know without going back and reading the indictment. And then this is the attempted for...
This is Mary.
Yeah, and then there would be the same for Willie.
Right.
And so they couldn't prove the line between mere preparation and overt act. That's a pretty important step. And things like if you and I were just sitting here and we were talking about a bank robbery, but we didn't actually get up and do anything about it, that's like mere preparation. It's like, okay, you go to the incident aisle and you buy the masks and the gloves, and I'll go steal a car. But if neither one of us does either of those things, we haven't committed an overt act. We've merely prepared.
Right. I think Mel brings up a good point about drive-by shootings. When you shoot up a house, you're intending to hit one person, but then it takes out somebody else. It's the same. Yeah, you're right. It's the same concept. You know, they're shooting into a car. They think they're trying to get Willie Brown, but then poor Sonny just happened to be there. You know.
Right. For
so
sure.
Same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So again, the premeditation is there, and then and this one is as to Willie. We can, if there's enough interest, we can throw these over onto my Patreon, And then here's the attempted second, and we've looked at this. So, and when I talk about elements of a crime being a checklist, you literally have to, if you can't prove 2, you can say yes to 1 and 3, but you can't say yes to 2, then that's reasonable doubt at its most basic level. And then I think we looked at that.
And then manslaughter.
Here's the criminal conspiracy. So
Okay.
to prove the crime of criminal conspiracy, the state must prove the following 2 elements beyond reasonable doubt. The intent of, and it lists all of them, was that the offense of M in the first degree would be committed. In order to carry out the intent, it lists all of them, agreed, conspired, combined, and or confederated among themselves or other diverse persons to cause M in the first degree to be committed either by them or one of them or by some other person. It is not necessary that the agreement, conspiracy, combination, and or confederation to commit M in the first degree be expressed in any particular words or that words pass between the conspirators, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's not necessary that the defendant do any act in furtherance of the offense conspired. That's crazy, right?
So you don't have to say, hey, Sam, let's go shoot up that car. You don't have to say that. You just have to say,
get in the car, bro.
Let's go. Yeah. I mean, you have to say, let's go. Let's get in the car. You have to say something. You can't just say, hey, let's go get some ice cream. I mean, they clearly were saying, wow, we got it. So that's why I would love to hear what they were saying. Like, let's go get them or let's get out of here. Were they saying, let's get out of here? Or were they saying, let's go get
It does not appear they were saying, let's get out of here, since they followed the car through a U-turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
that was before the conviction came in, the verdict came in. I was like, I would love to know, were they saying, oh my God, there's that car, we better get out of here? Or were they saying, oh my God, there's that car?
And that's what the law says you should do, right? If you thought you were in danger, you call the police or you get out. You don't go chasing after the danger. Right.
Well, it's almost, and I think Amanda brought it up a couple of times where they, trying to chase him out, or, it's like, were they trying to chase him off of their turf? Was it one of those things where maybe they had gotten shot at before? Who knows?
I mean, like I said, it's entirely possible, but the investigation, to whatever extent the investigation was done, did not reveal that.
Yeah.
So, and then here's shooting at a vehicle, discharging the firearm within 1,000 feet of a person. So, and that was only, I think there were like 40 some pages, almost 50 pages of jury instructions. So we just pulled out, those, and then I don't know, we're losing folks. Do you want to see the completed verdict slip?
Sure. Yeah, because you have people on rewatch.
Hey, Tally Pitlove. We're losing people to bed, and then we're having some others join us. All right, let's take a quick look.
Yeah,
here.
Don't forget you have.
And I have them in backwards order, of course I do, because why wouldn't I?
You have people on replay crew too.
Yes. So,
plus, I want to see this for my own selfish.
Well, reasons. I cater to you, sir.
Thank you, and to Super Ball. She's demanding.
I stay on past my bedtime just so that
and Henry's no appearance of Henry yet, huh?
Shh.
Oh yeah, right. Don't wake the beast.
Don't wake the baby.
All right, right. Okay.
Every time I sign off, though, he does come out here. And my mom, the one time that we did the cross, so we stayed later. She's like, you gypped us of Henry. And I'm like, no, I'm not. You went to bed. Okay, so here's the verdict form.
All right. I got to lean in for this. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah, so this is filed with the clerk of courts on the 17th. We, the jury, find as follows as to count one of the indictment as to Quandarius. And the defendant is guilty, and so of the first degree premeditated M of Suni Bell as charged. And so when I have talked to you before and I've said that interrogatories have come back differently, in my case from last summer that I've been complaining about for a year, his verdict form came back with something like with the check yes, but all the interrogatories were no. Do you see what I'm saying? So yes, he was guilty, but no.
So confusing.
Right?
Yeah.
So here, on this first page, count 1. So they chose the highest count, as we know, and not second degree. And then they didn't choose manslaughter. I'm like pointing at my screen like you can see it. They didn't choose manslaughter, and they obviously did not choose not guilty. We, the jury, finds as follows, and it goes on to Zavante. And
do you think chat was like trying to figure out, are they going to go are they going to look at each defendant and then find them guilty or not guilty or whatever?
They had to. The way they were instructed was that you had to look at each person and each person's charges, which is why I'm sorry I don't have the indictment up for you, because Andrew was charged with 5 out of the 6. Because by the time, the theory is, by the time the car he was in reached the car Suni Bell was in, Willie Brown was out of it, so he did not attempt to unalive Willie.
Right. Yeah, it was just Quandarius and Zavante were Willie.
Right. So it was a timing issue. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yep.
So, and here, count 1 is to Jalen. So he got as charged, but they didn't have the interrogatories, which is different. And with Zavante too. And so what do you take from that? They were drivers. So
they were the drivers.
They're not putting they're not imputing guns to them. Right. But Andrew was not a driver. So did he personally carry, display, use, threaten to use the firearm? Did the defendant actually possess and discharge? And so that's where you're seeing that nuance in the charging.
Yeah, this is great to see.
And now here is to James Denson, again, not a driver. So he got yes, and his interrogatories were also yes.
Right. So the shooters have the possession, firing into, discharging, possessing. The drivers did not.
Drivers are guilty based upon the principal theory.
Right. And yeah, so it was but I have so I have shooting at, within, or into a vehicle. I have Zavante and Jalen were guilty. But discharging, it was just a 3 that shot, but shooting at, within, or into, I guess that's the principal theory then.
So here, as to Jalen, he's guilty. See, if you look here in the middle of this screen, I don't know how to do it. By the way, was anybody else surprised that they were using a pool cue as a pointer? It's like, could we not have, like, I couldn't see the man with the pool cue and what he was pointing at. But here, so it says, like, if you look in the middle, like, as to Jalen or as to Zavante, as charged, but there's no interrogatory for, did they personally carry, display, use, threaten, or attempt, possess, or discharge. Those are your interrogatories. But the thing is, like I told you before, I am so hot. I'm sorry. I have got to start turning my air way down like an hour or 2 before I start this. You have to, there were too many guns and not enough shooters without the drivers.
Right. Yep.
That's the part that didn't make sense. If you factor out the middle car with 4 individuals in it, right? Then you have to put a gun in literally everybody's hand, or like you said, 2 guns, but they're not imputing shots being fired from any driver.
Right.
Either the 2 drivers in this case. Does that make sense? Am I
Yes.
still coherent? Okay.
Well, they did. I mean, Detective Celea did say there was a car 2, and we just didn't have enough evidence. So it was implied that car 2 had those other 2 9mm, right? Yeah, because Quandarius had 1, James had 1, Andrew had the AR, and then those other 2 9mm would have been in car 2. So it was implied, but he said they didn't have enough evidence to charge them.
That's what he said.
Yep. All right. Oh, stop it. Do you hear her growling? Okay, good.
So Joe is asking, do the individual charges really matter since they were all found to be involved in one form or another of first degree M? Don't they all get life regardless of the lesser charges? So they weren't found guilty of any of the lesser charges. They were all charged with first degree M under the principal theory. They will all serve mandatory life unless something is found on appeal. Okay, so here with James, they put a gun in his hand, right? So then count 2 of the indictment was attempted first degree M of Mary. And did you carry, use, possess, discharge? And that was a yes. That's Quandarius.
I think if they're going to find,
yes,
they would carry it over. If you're going to find,
exactly. The interrogatories are the same. I think I just thought I had Zavante in my head.
Yeah.
Instead of, but so here again, it's the same thing. They don't have the interrogatories again, right? The possession, discharge, carrying, display. And with Jalen, the same thing. Andrew, the same thing. They were consistent. I mean, all the way across the board, right? And then to James, the same thing there.
Right.
Count 3.
Count 3 is Willie.
Of Willie.
Right. So this should only be Quandarius and Zavante.
So this is Quandarius, Zavante. Yep, you're right. Count 4 was conspiracy. So, and they found that for everybody.
All of them. Yep.
Count 5, shooting at, within, or into a vehicle. So they found yes on all of that.
The drivers, which is weird. I guess that's the principal theory, right? Because why would shooting at, within, or into a vehicle versus discharge? So the discharging, which is the next count, was just the shooters, but shooting at, within, or into a vehicle, they got the drivers as well. Quandarius and Zavante. They were the drivers. They weren't doing the shooting, but they were doing the driving. So to me, that's the principal theory that, you're all part of it. Right. And then
6 is discharge of a firearm from a vehicle. So, and that's only the 3.
Yeah. And there's the 4 person.
There's the 4 person. This has been filed in with the clerk of court.
Yeah.
Record.
You're not showing anything. Yeah.
No. Who did they think they were going after? Were they going after Anthony Brown or Willie Brown? I don't know the answer to that question.
There was people in chat that thought it was, there were people in chat that thought that Willie brought Sonny there deliberately. I mean, there was that going on, that they had gotten shot at before, that, he shouldn't have been there. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation going on in chat. So,
I mean, you're going to have that with the trials. Amanda Colomar asked, do I believe the intention was there when only a couple of bullets hit the car out of the amount supposedly fired? Well, 50 were fired?
50 were fired, and
So I thought 17 were found in the car.
let me see.
I thought there were 17 holes.
I took the notes, so let me find.
Yeah, so a lot of I see, so I'm just scrolling through some of you guys, and I always, you summoned him. Did you summon him? No. Okay. That was a phantom nose against my
14 hit by my count. That was just my count. What did you say? You thought 17 hit the car?
I thought in evidence is 17, but
right.
I could be, you guys, come on. I could totally be
I was literally just looking at what they showed, and I was counting, so I could be off as well. So let's say 17. We'll go with you, 17. So out of the
no, I just looked over. Excellent.
There you go, 17. Perfect. All right, I'll change my notes. I'm going to change my notes. So 17 hit the car. 17 9mm, 17 AR, a combination thereof. That doesn't look good. That's not
right. And then Alexis also answered your question. That's an excellent question. Squeegee Scotty Sonardi argued that count 5, but the judge didn't agree to modify the interrogatory.
Oh, the drivers got shooting into.
I don't remember which one there was. Yes, Ohio Palm, it was a ghost shot. And again, you guys, I know I normally read you guys all your chats, and I respond to you, and then I go off in a gazillion different directions, and I didn't want to do that tonight. So I'm very happy that you all are here, that you've stuck with us for this long. I'm glad. I'm very grateful to you for being here. Yeah, ghost cat. So Alexa says there's 40 casings, and I agree. I don't know what the 50. I know the diagram shows that much, but I don't know why. Thank you, Alexis, for showing. She's thanking me for showing my restraint at not reading.
There were 25 9mm and 15 ARs, a 5.56.
That's 40.
So that's 40. But there were 50. Hold on.
Markers.
There were 52 markers. There were 52 markers.
So one casing. Oh, I know why. Alexis, am I right on that? They found an entire empty magazine. There was an entire magazine. It's like somebody dropped all the casings out of their magazine into the road. There were a whole bunch of unfired ones, and then there was one that was so old and I think intact that they didn't think it belonged. I think that's where that came from.
Well, there was also stuff like marker 42 was okay. That was a rifle casing. There was red substance on the ground.
Markers. Yeah, so it was 50 evidence markers, not necessarily 50 casings.
Correct. Yeah, some were just like a red substance. I have in my notes. Medical aid item, dark clothes on a sidewalk was another marker. Fragment. Some was just a fragment. So a key ring.
Amanda Cullimore, you're correct. They can't say if they came from car 1 and 3. They could be from car 2. They couldn't. The only thing they could say was the video shows that Jalen Bedward had an AR rifle. He got into his car. Andrew Thompson got into the passenger seat of his car, of Jalen Bedward's car. Therefore, Jalen must have given Andrew the gun, and Andrew must have fired that rifle. And those are the only shots that can technically be attributed to anyone, except for the 2 fired from James Denson's favorite gun that he had recently pawned.
Yep.
Right? Do I have that right?
You have that exactly right. The first part of that is a guess that Jalen got into the car and gave it to Andrew. We don't know that for sure, but we do see the muzzle. We see the muzzle flashings. And then the second part of that is probably more accurate because James's 2 casings from his main carry, those were his words to the detective. He doesn't give that gun out to anybody, doesn't loan it out to anybody because people do stupid things. His words from the detective. So 2 casings from his gun, his weapon. So I go back to that. To me, that was probably the most damning evidence for him, because that puts him there.
For sure.
So.
Well, did I miss any questions? And does anybody have any other questions? And
I'm good. Oh,
gallery. I get all of your?
You did. What about the gallery? Like some days, what happened to that kerfuffle? Right, day one, there was a scuffle outside. What happened with that?
Okay, this courtroom was really, really big, like I said, and so when you're watching and you're seeing the center be very empty, there's actually a section on each side. So behind the defense side, over where I was, there was an entire gallery that was full. Behind the prosecution side, it's like if you go to church, right, and you have 2 aisles, you have the center section and then you have pews on either side. So Mary Harrison, Willie Brown's family, and Susie Lopez, the main prosecutor, they were all over there. And then all the defense support was over behind us. So when they would let out for a break, what happened was, and I was still inside the courtroom, some people from both sides sort of met in this lobby that was outside the courtroom where the bathrooms are and where there's like a waiting area. And I don't know who it was. I don't know who was fighting who. But a lot of bailiffs moved really, really fast, but then 5 of them couldn't move at all. They had to stay exactly where they were because there was a bailiff for every person. And then, of course, you saw the bailiffs come for Zavante. And then I don't know if you could see on camera at verdict, there were 20 in the courtroom, at least 20 inside the courtroom.
Yep.
With more outside. And the chief judge, Sabella, he was in the center along with the elected public defender. And of course, Susie Lopez was on the side over with Mary Harrison. But I have never seen so much armed personnel in a courtroom before. I mean, I was just like, my God, is there anybody left in the building anywhere else guarding anything at all?
Right.
They kept filling in around us, and I started counting.
Yeah. Is there like a rule of thumb? Is it like 1 bailiff per defendant, 2, 3 bailiffs? I mean, is there
1 per usually?
It's usually just 1 person. Wow.
One dedicated. Well, so here's something that you guys might not realize is when you have co-defendants like this, excuse me, they're meant to be kept away from each other. So they had to be brought in different transport vehicles from jail to court every day. And then they each had a bailiff. They each had a holding cell. So there would, and they were brought up one by one. It was like, okay, if there was an attorney for one of them was in the room, it's like, okay, we'll bring your guy up then. And then the next attorney and whatever. And the same process had to keep happening. And you see them taking off some of them were taking off their ties and their belts and stuff on camera. That was just so that they didn't have to take them back there to the holding room. And I think that was just kind of up to the bailiffs. But what surprised me was to see how they didn't cut the court feed. And they didn't cut the audio, and I didn't know it. Like, either Alexis or Aaron one day was like, "Where did you go? We just watched you walk out of the courtroom." And I'm like, "Why are the cameras still on?"
Mhm.
You know? And it was really heartbreaking one day because Andrew's mom saw him, get up and be handcuffed and let out of the room for lunch or for whatever it was. And
Mhm.
it was just it was really sad to see,
Yeah.
you know, her
Sure.
watch that. And, nobody's children came. And I had asked Andrew, "Do you want your child to come?" And he said, "No, she saw me on the TV."
Mhm.
And, just wouldn't calm down after having seen him on the news.
Yeah.
Joe says, now that this case has been adjudicated, what's next on your docket? It was supposed to be another death trial that was supposed to start next month. And now I honestly don't know, although Alexis keeps an excellent calendar. But I had 2 death penalty trials slated for this year, also in front of the Honorable Judge Fuson. One of them I'm hearing will be pushed out. The other one, it needs to go. It's from 2018.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but I have ignored many other cases. And I'm working on the Folio discovery is so insane that that one of the Brian Gonzalez actually is leaving for Jacksonville to go and begin deposing law enforcement officers there, because they're bringing in history of this of that whole thing, and those 4 men will be tried together. The trial date is April 8th. Alicia Andrews is currently scheduled to go October 20th. I'm not on her case. I'm on one of the guys' cases. Kay Telly Pitlove, you and I will have to lovingly disagree on that. Will I be able to assist on appeal? No, I'm not part of the appellate process unless a case that is old comes back around and is reopened in a circuit court docket for some reason, and then they appoint a circuit level attorney and not an appellate attorney. So no, I would love to work on appeals, but there's nobody paying for that. And the JAC specifically thinks that once you have you're not entitled to post-conviction relief at the price of this cost of the state.
So Mandy asked a question earlier, and I just want to make sure we get to it because it is something I'm interested in as well about the defendants. We kind of touched upon it a little bit where Savante on that Friday said he was going to, thank you for pulling that up. Friday before he was going to consider testifying, and then Quandarius said, well, depending on what Savante does, then I'll have my answer. But the other 3 said, so that was car 1. Then the guys in car, that was car 1. Guys in car 3, which Andrew was in, all said no, they did not want to testify. Was there ever any talk that they might testify?
I mean, I can't speak as to James or Jalen, but no, I don't. Obviously, the attorneys would have brought it up with Andrew and said, you have the right to testify, and I can't tell you not to. But I don't recall ever hearing that Andrew wanted to testify. No.
Okay. Yeah, well, interesting that it wasn't even brought up, and you didn't.
Well, I mean, the attorneys are always going to ask because that's one of their, that's one of their rights. So you have the right to testify. You don't have to testify. Here's what can happen if you do testify. And of course, the big issue is if you testify and you say too much or you say something wrong, you just opened the barn door for the state to come storming in.
Right.
And that's the risk, you know.
Mhm.
And, some people think, oh, I want to testify. And then when we explain to them, like, this is what could happen if you
Mhm.
do that,
Yeah.
then sometimes they will change their minds.
Mhm.
I've never had. And so to answer Amanda Cullimore, uh, Mr. Denson, James Denson, did attempt to proffer, which means give a statement, in exchange for, he would have had to testify to it if they'd accepted it, but they didn't accept it because they didn't feel he was being truthful. So, but in 4 years, nobody said a word other than that. And he didn't say anything that he hadn't already said. So,
Right. We as jury watchers, trial watchers, always want to see the defendants testify.
sure you do. And
But
how well does that work out for those who do?
now we have a whole series called "The Ego Takes the Stand," based on defendants taking the stand and being like, "Oh," but that's where the popcorn comes in. That's where that's where.
Well, sure. I mean, it's a fascinating train wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't tend to work out well.
No, never does. Yeah. Or it hasn't. We haven't done one yet where it works out well for the defendant. So, but yeah, no, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good with. You answered a lot of my questions. You went over a lot of. I guess my last thing would be the jury, like how they were attentive. Obviously, we talked
So,
about their deliberation.
yeah,
Like,
with the jury, I couldn't see. I mean, like, I was facing them directly. They were directly across from me, but it felt like they were a football field away from me. The one black person on that jury was a female, and she was dismissed as an alternate. And the one thing I can say about jury selection, and that was the day I actually left a little bit early when the attorneys got to duking it out over the strikes. I was like, I'm out of here because I wanted to run some errands. And then that's the day that somebody hit my car.
What?
Yeah, it was a tap. It's fine.
Okay.
I got her license plate. I'll find her. She doesn't have any insurance. It doesn't make any matter.
Oh, I think you did tell us that.
Yeah,
you did tell us that.
But the jury was the most unremarkable panel. And they brought in almost 200 people. It was a lot of people. And they were just unremarkable. I mean, like, we had our eyes on like one or two, and they both got struck. I mean, the judge got rid of a whole bunch of people that, like, so either side didn't have to use all their strikes. Amanda Cullimore says, wow, all white jury, that's not a jury of their peers. I have yet to have a jury for a black defendant that ends up with a black person deliberating. How can you honestly say a jury of their peers when there were no African Americans on it at all? I have a problem with that. They were all white. They were all, so I say they skewed younger. I don't know that there was anybody over 50, and I'm over 50 on that jury. Joe, I have a problem with it too, and it's constant. And I don't think that this idea of a jury of your peers, it's not what's happening. I mean, they are summoned. They don't know what for. They're sorted. They fill out this very basic questionnaire that gets sent up to the courtroom, and then we scramble to try to red flag people, if you will. I say I'm not the attorney that has the final say in anything. I just watch people, and if I see something, I make a note of it, and I read the questionnaires, and if I see something, I highlight it. I don't think it's so much you pick a jury as you eliminate people until you end up with something. Because let's say you have 24 people sitting in front of you. You can't say, oh, like remember in gym class where it's like, oh, I choose you to be on my team. I choose this person. Okay, next. It doesn't go like that. It's they're trying to get rid of who you want and you're trying to get rid of who they want.
Right.
And it's the first 12 that are left standing after that, plus however many alternates you've got.
Right. Yeah, that definitely doesn't sound right, but
I don't think it is. Well,
it's a system we have.
It's a system it's a system we have.
Yeah,
for sure.
All I can say to that is at least they took the 14 plus hours. They didn't come back in an hour or 2 hours. So it seems like they did take their time, and they had questions.
They did. They asked the questions, and they actually, the judge was getting ready to at 4:30 on the first day was like wanting to know where they were, and they said, we want to work for another hour and come back tomorrow. So they stayed for another hour, and then we came back.
Yeah, I remember that.
The next day. So, they put the work in, and I can't be, to my knowledge, I should say, I can't be, like I said, I can't be angry. If they had come back in an hour or two, that would have made me really mad for 5 defendants and all the counts and all the, but for 14 hours, they put the work in,
Yeah. Amanda thinks some people gave in. Yeah.
That may very well be, Amanda. That may very well be. But, the attorneys seem to think there were some decent appellate issues there. So I'm not an appellate attorney. So, even, and I believe I addressed this last week. But when you see an attorney stand up and make an argument like at the close of the state's evidence or something, and they're like, oh, that's ridiculous, that attorney is so full of BS and whatever, that's part of the steps of the process, right? Like you check the boxes along the way, whether you're always going to have to make that argument because you're doing your due diligence for your client, and you're also covering your own butt so that you don't get a 3850 for failing to do that, whatever that argument is, right? Which is judgment of acquittal happened to be that one. So, that's where I get frustrated with, I'm not saying it was your chats in general, people like, oh, sit down and shut up, so-and-so. No, they're doing their job. And if it were you on trial for your life, you would want your attorney to get up there and make those arguments. And that, more than anything, is what I hope people take away from this channel, is that instead of judging the attorneys or the defendants or the court personnel or the investigators, think about if it were you in sitting up there as a defendant or your family member.
Yep. I agree. There's a lot of times, our chat are like, just, sit down, to the defendant's, representation. And I agree, because I go into chat and I'm like, guys, just keep in mind, if you were the person that is being defended, we would want somebody to be fighting for your, for your rights and stuff too. So
you'd want them to check every box.
Yep.
And do their jobs. And you don't want anybody, you want everybody that is doing something on your behalf to do their job well. And so, you can want justice. And again, justice to me is a personal thing, but you can want justice for someone, but you don't have to hate the people who are also doing their jobs to keep the system balanced. Because if we didn't have this system, then any one of us could just be let out of our houses at any given time and jailed. And so, I just would encourage people to stop being so narrow-minded. And that's why I was like, I'm not gonna, if I have 10 people watching tonight and I've scared everybody else off because I was so harsh about what I would accept in this chat, that's fine, because that's just not, I'm not going to let that happen here. That's not what this channel is for.
No, absolutely. I agree with that. I stand with you on that. And I think by and large, I didn't see anybody
I didn't either, and I
disparaging anybody.
I appreciate you so much for being here, for all the work you put in for the trial, that you and your mods did such a great job of handling the people from both sides who ended up in your chat. You know, I think that was a really great thing for you to do, and I'm glad that you did follow this one so that you could come in here and talk with me about it, because otherwise I would have been all over the place.
My pleasure, and I can't wait to show the next one.
There will be more.
Yes,
there will be more. So,
cannot
you
wait.
know, as long as we find out if there's a camera going to be in there. And Joe Schmo says that he loves that about me and you and Trial TV Live. So thank you guys so much for being here. Please remember to like and subscribe. And if you're not already subscribed to Trial TV Live, you very surely must do that immediately. Thank you, Chris, for being here.
You're welcome, and thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having this discussion. Thank you for telling us about the trials that you're going to be involved with. And I'm happy to keep supporting you in whatever way we can. So
I appreciate you so much.
Sure.
You guys, everybody be safe out there.
Okay. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.